So, one of Donald Trump's closest allies just broke the ultimate code of loyalty and went public with explosive details about a private meeting where Trump allegedly admitted he knew the 2020 election wasn't stolen, discussed criminal schemes to stay in power anyway, and explicitly ordered associates to destroy evidence. We're talking about someone who was in the room for the most sensitive conversations, someone Trump trusted completely, now cooperating with prosecutors and revealing secrets that could send the former president to prison for decades. It's honestly hard to believe this is happening. This isn't some disgruntled former employee or a peripheral figure. This is someone from Trump's absolute inner circle, someone who attended strategy sessions, who witnessed the planning, who heard Trump say things he would never say in public. And now that person is telling prosecutors everything, providing documents to back it up, and preparing to testify under oath about what really happened behind closed doors. This isn't just another cooperating witness. We're talking about testimony that directly contradicts Trump's central defense that he genuinely believed the election was stolen. If prosecutors can prove Trump knew he lost and pursued illegal schemes anyway, the line between political dispute and criminal conspiracy becomes crystal clear. And trust me, the panic this revelation is causing in Trump's orbit is unlike anything we've seen before. Let me fill you in on what's been happening. To understand the magnitude of this betrayal, you need to know who we're talking about. According to explosive reporting from multiple outlets, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN over the past 48 hours, the cooperating witness is someone who participated in post-election strategy meetings at the White House, Mar-a-Lago, and Trump's Bedminster Golf Club. The witness's identity is being closely guarded, but sources describe them as a former senior official with direct access to Trump during the critical period between Election Day 2020 and January 6, 2021. This person wasn't a low-level staffer taking notes from the back of the room. They were at the table. They were consulted. They were trusted with Trump's most sensitive plans, and for years they stayed silent, bound by loyalty and probably fear of what Trump could do to their reputation and career. But something changed. According to Politico's reporting from December 10th, federal prosecutors approached this individual months ago with evidence that implicated them in potential criminal activity. They faced a choice: remain loyal to Trump and potentially face decades in prison, or cooperate, tell the truth, and receive immunity from prosecution. They chose to cooperate. Now here's the kicker. The witness isn't just providing general impressions or second-hand information. According to sources familiar with their cooperation agreement, they've turned over contemporaneous notes, text messages, emails, and recordings that document exactly what was said in private meetings. These aren't reconstructed memories from years ago. These are real-time records of conversations as they happened. The most devastating revelation centers on a meeting that took place in mid-December 2020 at the White House. According to the witness's account, Trump was presented with detailed reports from his own campaign's legal team, from the Department of Homeland Security, and from the Justice Department, all concluding that there was no evidence of widespread fraud that could have changed the election outcome. The witness alleges that Trump read these reports, acknowledged their conclusions, and then said something to the effect of, "I don't care, we're not giving this up, we find another way." According to the witness, Trump then began discussing alternative strategies to remain in power, including pressuring state legislators, getting Pence to reject electoral votes, and ultimately using the rally on January 6th to put pressure on Congress. This testimony, if accurate and corroborated, is absolutely devastating. Trump's entire defense has rested on the claim that he genuinely believed the election was stolen and was simply exercising his First Amendment rights to challenge what he saw as fraud. But if he privately acknowledged he lost and pursued illegal schemes anyway, that defense evaporates. It transforms his actions from protected political speech into criminal conspiracy. Now, this isn't the first time someone in Trump's orbit has flipped, but what makes this different is the level of access and the directness of the evidence. Just think about Michael Cohen. He was Trump's personal attorney and fixer for years. When he cooperated, he provided damaging testimony about hush money payments and other schemes. But Cohen's credibility was always attackable. He admitted to lying. He had his own criminal conduct. Trump's attorneys could paint him as a disgruntled former employee with an axe to grind. Then there was Cassidy Hutchinson, the young White House aide who provided bombshell testimony to the January 6th committee. She testified about Trump's awareness that his supporters were armed, about his desire to march to the Capitol, about his reaction to the violence. Her testimony was powerful, but it was largely about what she witnessed, second-hand conversations she overheard or was told about. This new cooperating witness is different. According to descriptions from prosecutors who spoke with multiple media outlets, this person was in the room where it happened. To borrow a phrase, they didn't overhear conversations or receive second-hand reports. They were direct participants in discussions where Trump allegedly revealed his true state of mind. And there's Mark Meadows, Trump's final chief of staff. Meadows received immunity to testify before a federal grand jury, though the extent of his cooperation remains somewhat unclear. But Meadows has tried to maintain a delicate balance, cooperating with prosecutors while not completely burning bridges with Trump. This new witness appears to have made no such calculation. They're all in on cooperation. Then there's the pattern we've seen with attorneys. Evan Corcoran's notes about the classified documents were forced into disclosure through the crime-fraud exception. Sidney Powell and Jenna Ellis both pleaded guilty in Georgia and agreed to cooperate. But their cooperation focused on specific legal strategies around the election challenges, not Trump's personal state of mind. This witness fills that critical gap. They can testify about what Trump actually believed, what he actually knew, and what he actually intended. That's the holy grail of criminal prosecution, direct evidence of criminal intent from someone who was there. So what specifically did this witness reveal about the private meeting? And why is Trump's legal team in absolute meltdown mode? According to detailed accounts compiled from multiple sources, the witness has provided prosecutors with testimony covering at least 3 categories of devastating information. First, Trump's knowledge that he lost. The witness alleges that in multiple private conversations, Trump acknowledged he had lost key swing states. In one meeting, when an advisor suggested that maybe they should focus on the 2024 race, Trump reportedly responded, "You think I don't know we lost, but we can't just accept this." This is crucial because Trump has spent 3 years publicly insisting he won by a landslide and that the election was stolen. If he privately admitted defeat to his inner circle while publicly lying to his supporters and pressuring officials to overturn results, that shows consciousness of guilt and intent to defraud. Second, discussions of illegal schemes. The witness reportedly told prosecutors about meetings where Trump and his associates discussed strategies they knew were legally questionable or outright illegal. This includes conversations about using fake electors, about pressuring the vice president to exceed his constitutional authority, and about using the Justice Department to give a false impression of fraud. According to CNN's reporting, the witness specifically recalls Trump saying something like, "I don't care if it's a gray area. We're going to push every button." When advisors warned that certain actions could be illegal, Trump allegedly responded that he would pardon anyone who got in trouble for following his orders. If accurate, this testimony shows Trump knowingly pursuing illegal schemes and dangling pardons to encourage others to break the law on his behalf. That's conspiracy and obstruction of justice. Third, and perhaps most explosive, orders to destroy evidence. The witness claims that after the January 6th attack, when it became clear there would be investigations, Trump ordered associates to delete communications, to get rid of documents, and to coordinate stories to minimize legal exposure. According to the Washington Post's December 11th reporting, the witness has provided prosecutors with specific details about which documents Trump wanted destroyed, which communications he wanted deleted, and how he wanted associates to testify if questioned. If prosecutors can corroborate this testimony with forensic evidence of deleted files or witness tampering, Trump faces additional charges beyond the existing indictments. Now, here's where things get extremely complicated for Trump's defense strategy. His attorneys have spent months preparing based on the assumption that they could portray Trump as someone who genuinely, if mistakenly, believed the election was stolen. They plan to call expert witnesses about election irregularities, to argue First Amendment protection for political speech, and to claim Trump was simply exercising his constitutional right to challenge election results. This witness testimony destroys that entire approach. You can't claim your client genuinely believed something when a credible witness testifies that he privately admitted the opposite. You can't argue protected political speech when the evidence shows your client knew he was lying. You can't claim good faith when witnesses describe your client ordering evidence destruction. Trump's legal team is reportedly in crisis meetings trying to assess the damage. According to sources who spoke with MSNBC, several attorneys have expressed doubts about whether they can continue representing Trump given this new evidence. They're concerned about being associated with defending conduct they now know was based on lies, and then Trump made things catastrophically worse. Within hours of reports about the cooperating witness surfacing, Trump began posting on Truth Social, trying to identify who had flipped. He speculated about several individuals by name, suggesting they were liars seeking to save themselves. He threatened legal action against anyone who provided false testimony about him. Legal experts immediately flagged this as potential witness intimidation. Andrew Weissman, appearing on MSNBC, noted that a defendant publicly trying to identify and threaten cooperating witnesses is exactly the kind of conduct that can result in pre-trial detention. Prosecutors can now point to Trump's posts as evidence that he poses a danger to the administration of justice. Now Trump is caught in an impossible trap of his own making. If he continues attacking the witness publicly, he gives prosecutors more evidence of obstruction and witness tampering. Every threatening post becomes an exhibit in a future filing seeking his detention or additional charges. If he goes silent, his supporters might wonder why he's not fighting back. His brand depends on always attacking, never admitting weakness. Silence looks like guilt to his base, which needs constant reinforcement that he's being persecuted. If his attorneys try to discredit the witness at trial, they'll face the documentary evidence, notes, texts, emails, and possibly recordings that corroborate the testimony. It's not just one person's word against Trump's. It's contemporaneous records created in real time. Meanwhile, other potential witnesses are watching carefully. If one inner circle member can flip and receive immunity, others are calculating whether they should do the same. The witness who cooperates first typically gets the best deal. Those who wait face the prospect of testimony from multiple cooperators, making their own participation impossible to deny. This creates a cascade effect that prosecutors leverage expertly. Once the floodgates open, remaining holdouts face increasingly difficult choices. This whole scenario is causing a complete fracture in Trump's inner circle because everyone is now paranoid about who can be trusted. According to reporting from Politico, Trump has been calling associates demanding to know who they think cooperated. He's reportedly cut off contact with several former advisors he suspects of disloyalty. He's questioning people about their communications with federal investigators. This paranoia is exactly what prosecutors hope for. When a target becomes isolated and distrustful when the people around him start protecting themselves rather than the boss, the criminal organization falls apart. Things became even more chaotic when reports emerged that at least 2 other individuals who participated in the same meetings have hired criminal defense attorneys and are reportedly in discussions with prosecutors about potential cooperation. According to CNN sources, these individuals corroborate key aspects of the first witness's account and may be preparing to provide testimony of their own. If prosecutors end up with multiple witnesses from Trump's inner circle, all telling the same story about the same meetings, the defense's job becomes virtually impossible. You can attack one witness's credibility. You can't attack 3 or 4 who all corroborate each other and have documents to back up their claims. Meanwhile, Trump's political operation is scrambling to contain the damage. His campaign released a statement calling the cooperating witness a liar and claiming the reported testimony is fabricated, but the statement was notably vague about specifics, suggesting they don't actually know exactly what the witness told prosecutors. According to Republican strategists who spoke with the Wall Street Journal, the revelation of a high-level cooperating witness is politically devastating, even beyond the legal implications. It feeds the narrative that Trump surrounds himself with people who eventually betray him, that his organization is incompetent and riddled with informants, that loyalty to him is a one-way street. Some Republican donors are reportedly reconsidering support for Trump's 2024 campaign. If his own inner circle is testifying against him, if his closest associates think he's guilty enough that they're cutting deals to avoid prison, what does that say about his fitness to be president? Let's talk about what this cooperation means for Trump's actual legal exposure across his multiple cases. First, in the January 6th prosecution, this witness testimony directly addresses the central question. Did Trump genuinely believe the election was stolen, or did he knowingly lie? If the witness is credible and their testimony is corroborated, it establishes that Trump knew he lost and pursued illegal schemes anyway. That transforms his conduct from protected political speech into criminal fraud and conspiracy. According to former federal prosecutors who spoke with CBS News, proving a defendant's knowledge and intent is often the hardest part of white-collar prosecutions. Physical evidence shows what happened, but proving what someone knew or intended typically requires witness testimony about private statements. This cooperating witness provides exactly that testimony. Second, in the classified documents case, if the witness has information about Trump ordering evidence, destruction, or obstruction of the investigation, that strengthens the already strong obstruction charges. It shows a pattern of Trump responding to legal scrutiny by destroying evidence and coordinating false statements, which goes to consciousness of guilt. Third, in the Georgia case, if the witness participated in or has knowledge of efforts to pressure Georgia officials or create fake electors, their testimony could strengthen state RICO charges. Georgia prosecutors have been building a conspiracy case, and insider testimony about coordination and planning is exactly what makes RICO cases successful. The cumulative effect across all cases is devastating. This witness isn't just providing evidence in one proceeding. They're potentially testifying in multiple jurisdictions about a pattern of criminal conduct spanning months. Legal scholars are already drawing historical parallels to other major prosecutions where cooperating insiders proved decisive. The Watergate prosecution succeeded largely because John Dean, Nixon's White House counsel, decided to cooperate and provide detailed testimony about the cover-up. Dean's testimony, initially viewed skeptically, was corroborated by the existence of the White House tapes. Once the tapes proved Dean was telling the truth, the case against Nixon became airtight. The prosecution of Enron executives succeeded because key insiders like Andrew Fastow cooperated and explained the complex financial schemes from the inside. External evidence showed something illegal happened, but insider testimony explained exactly how and why. The prosecution of organized crime figures has always depended on insiders flipping. The government defeated the mafia not through external investigation alone, but by convincing made men to violate Omar and testify about internal operations. Trump has always operated like a mob boss, demanding absolute loyalty, punishing perceived betrayal, keeping his own hands clean while others do the dirty work. But like mob bosses before him, he's discovering that loyalty evaporates when people face decades in prison. So here's the deal. One of Donald Trump's closest allies has broken ranks and is cooperating with federal prosecutors. This person attended private meetings where Trump allegedly admitted he knew he lost the election, discussed illegal schemes to stay in power anyway, and ordered associates to destroy evidence. The witness has provided notes, documents, and detailed testimony that directly contradicts Trump's defense strategy. Trump's response has been panic and fury. He's trying to identify the witness publicly, threatening legal action, and attacking their credibility despite not knowing exactly what they told prosecutors. His legal team is in crisis mode, recognizing that their primary defense, that Trump genuinely believed the election was stolen, has been demolished by someone who was in the room and heard him admit otherwise. Other potential witnesses are watching and calculating whether to cooperate themselves. Trump's inner circle is fracturing. His political support is wavering, and prosecutors are using this breakthrough to pressure additional cooperators to come forward. The next few weeks are going to be crucial. We'll see whether additional witnesses flip. We'll see whether the cooperating witness's testimony becomes public through court filings or hearings. We'll see whether Trump's attacks on the witness result in additional charges or sanctions. Keep an eye on this. The stakes have never been higher, the evidence never more damning, and the betrayal never more complete. When your closest allies start testifying against you, when people who were in the room with you are now in rooms with prosecutors, the walls aren't just closing in, they're collapsing. This is what accountability looks like when the inner circle breaks. It's dramatic, it's unprecedented, and it's potentially the end of Donald Trump's ability to escape the consequences of his actions. The person he trusted most just became his worst nightmare. A credible witness with receipts ready to tell the truth under oath about what really happened behind closed doors. This is far from over, but this moment marks a turning point that cannot be undone. The question is no longer whether there's evidence of Trump's crimes. It's how many people from his inner circle will ultimately testify about what they witnessed, and that number appears to be growing.